Good afternoon, all. CamelbackTrading.org coming to you this Thursday afternoon, November 3rd. We are looking at Window Traders market profile of the ES and SPY. So, a lot to talk about. Sellers had every opportunity in the world this morning after last night, late yesterday afternoon's flush out after the Fed, when we went trend down, went out with a price probe, opened with a decent sized gap today. They pushed a little lower in A. They actually took out A's low briefly in B, and that was it. It was game over, as they got nothing more. What happened in M period, just take that with a grain of salt. All M period's flush was the people who got long in JKL in the beginning of M, thinking we were going to finally take out today's high and go fill and finish the gap. That's all that was. So the big question we have to ask ourselves going into tomorrow's job number, which is just absolutely absurd. Listen, every day is a new number. Was this just the bear's rest period? And tomorrow after the number, they resume what they were doing because the daily is down now? Or is that all they wanted to do? And tomorrow we'll go take back the gap and maybe try to take back what happened late yesterday afternoon. There's a lot on the table here. The weekly is in balance. There's a possibility of an outside week down after tomorrow night. The daily is firmly down right now, and there's a gap. The monthly is still in balance. Triple Qs, 13 wide. We took out the IB high, never saw the opening again. I'm sorry, not the opening. Never saw the day's low again, and then look what they do in M period. Now, they're a little different story. They weren't, trying to get the day's high. So, again, they just flushed, but never got the IB low. And the reason these POCs are important, we'll discuss it in a second. Here's Russell. Russell ends 10 wide, P-shape, symmetrical, right? This is a bell-shaped curve for triple Qs. Now, early in the day, after E and F, I didn't think we'd have a shot for a P shape, but it kind of did for ES and SPY. Yes, M kind of wrecked it a little bit, but M does what M wants to do, right? Curly and Larry got really poor grades today. M gets a rousing A on that flush out. But we end 11 wide in ES, 12 wide in SPY, 13 wide in Qs. Again, I'm never going to know for sure, but the question, that I pose to the room and to myself is this long-term money buying it? We know it wasn't long-term money selling it. The volume was under 80 million. We gapped low and got nothing for our efforts. There is a huge price vacuum below today's low. We were below the 20-day moving average. We came out of balance on the daily. We were still down on the daily on the gap, and the weekly came firmly back into balance. But because it's short-term money, these algorithms didn't want to set the parameters that far down, so we never got anywhere near those next destinations, which is still pretty far below. So we'll see if this is just a rest period. Or like I said, is that all they wanted? And was some long-term money nibbling on the buy side? Now, I had a good day today. I had to leave for a couple hours only. So believe it or not, all I did was short this morning, and I did well, even when the market tried to rally. Because on every turnover, when the market tried to push down at visual points, I shorted A twice, I shorted B twice, I shorted C once. Made money on all of them. Shorted F, made money on that at value high at the time. And then I finally took a long. I walked back into my office when I came back from my appointment, and it looked like J period was going to stop the one-time framing down, took a long, and it popped it. That was my last trade of the day. That was it. So it was a decent day overall. As far as destinations go, in ES on the downside, we have today's low of 04.25 and 55.50, which was yesterday's low. For the upside, we have 11 wide, 42.75. Then we have today's high, 58.50, and closing the gap at 66.75. In SPY on the upside, we have today's high. We have the POC, 12 wide, 372.77. Then we have today's high, 374.20, and filling the gap at 374.76. So it's a 56-point gap. And then on today's low, on the downside, we have 368.79, which is today's low. And you should have everything else we gave you. Oh, actually, I take that back. You don't have more on the downside. The next low, and this is why it was important, is 363.54. So that's over $5 lower. from today's low. But do you see, because it's short-term money, it's kind of like those algorithms, they can't see that far. So they don't set their parameters to it. To be honest with you, when we made new highs in C, D, and NG, I thought there was a good chance to go get that gap today. It wasn't that big. I thought they would lock onto it and just fill it and then come back. But they never were able to. So, again, 360, 354 would be the next downside destination in SPY. So again, if that number's bad tomorrow, the sellers will probably continue what they were doing and go get it. And then quickly on the charts. So here's the weekly. Right now, I said I don't know if I'm going to call it a 2-week or a 3-week balance. I'm probably going to call it a 3-week balance after all is said and done. If we close below 373.11 tomorrow night, it's an outside week down, which would be pretty bearish. And then on the daily, obviously, the daily is down. Gap is my main focus. The 20-day moving average is 371.91. We stayed above it a good part of the afternoon, only to close below it. But again, that means nothing to me. One day doesn't make a market. I was telling the room. Tomorrow will be a bigger factor. If we go lower and hold this gap from today, well, then the bears are certainly looking like they're going to hold the 20-day. If, however, we go up, fill the gap, then maybe the buyers come back into balance on the daily and have the 20-day in their favor, at least initially. Thanks for the likes and subscribing. Hope you had a good day trading. Enjoy your evening, and we'll speak prior to the opening tomorrow.